Today's discussion point is, what does a successful transaction mean to both parties? Now, in a buyer's market, the buyers usually have an upper hand. In the seller's market, the sellers usually have an upper hand, but only to a point. If you do have an upper hand as a buyer, for instance, and you try to extract every little last ounce of concession out of a seller, the seller remembers it. For example, once you've gotten a really good deal and the seller has given you a really good deal, and you go back and you try to squeeze out marginally minuscule more, it costs you at the end of the day. It literally costs you at the end of the day. That $200 or $300 thing that you won on, it costs you, because I've had sellers that have given in on that, but then they haven't left the paint cans for the wall, so there's no touch-up paint, and the buyer doesn't even know what kind it is. Ever tried to match a touch-up paint when you don't know what brand or what color it is? You end up having to repaint for something small. A small little thing that needs touch-up, you have to repaint the whole wall, the whole room, the whole apartment. So that's just one example of where, when you think you're winning, you're actually lost. Because people don't like to come away from a transaction feeling like they were basically robbed of everything, including their dignity. Same thing with the seller. When a seller has the upper hand and they're asking the buyer for a lot of concessions, waiving the home inspection. Oh, hey, we've decided to push the closing date out a couple of weeks because we're going on vacation. The buyer remembers it. The buyer might, because they're not in the home, they might not have that kind of leverage, but there's other ways buyers can get back at sellers. Packages come to the unit and they don't forward them. Little things like that where they can really make life miserable. This is a partnership, buyer and seller. You're wed together, maybe just for the transaction, maybe a little after. My recommendation is that both parties put themselves in the other party's shoes and just try to get along and do what you would want them to do. Because at the end of the day, if you try to win too much, you end up losing. This is this week's discussion point.